This is the wedding picture for my mother and father, a long time ago, 1924, January 19th. I'm using it because we're going to talk about marriage and what St. Paul says about marriage, that Jesus says about marriage, and the Old Testament says about marriage, that in marriage, the husband and wife become, well, your official translation is one flesh, but it means they become one person. How do you become one person when you're two very different people? I think of the story of my mother and father. They grew up in towns which were about 5 miles apart from each other, got to know each other as teenagers. They were married when they were 23 after going out for a while together. They were fortunate. My grandparents had some property, so they gave my mother and father an acre of property. They built their own home. So they moved into their home when they were married. They had some tragedies the early part of their life. Their first 2 children, one was a miscarriage and one was a stillborn. Then I was born. I hope they were happy with that. And my brother was born 4 years later. Then they watched us grow up. My father went through different things. He originally had a business in the city. When the war came, Second World War came, had to give up their business, went to work in a war plant. After the war, there were some financial difficulties, but they managed to work things out. They stayed together. Then they began to see that my brother got married and I was ordained, made them happy. They had their first grandson, but that also then turned into tragedy. He got sick when he was 5.5. He died when he was 7. My father was happy to retire. When he finally retired and could enjoy himself, he couldn't because he had lung cancer and emphysema. And when he died, my mother survived him for 25 more years. Well, I tell you that story because it's like everybody's story. Oh, the details are not the same. The details of age and places where you meet and the story that you had in your married life. But it's all a point of saying this, that what tied my mother and father together in their life together was all those threads, all those things that happened. And all those things that happened because they had faith. They lived through it all. We belonged to a very small parish. My mother was very active in the Rosary Society, the Altar Society. My father played the organ when he had to fill in, and he was an usher. So we were very much a part of our church, which had perhaps 100 people at Mass on Sunday. So through it all, the thing that kept them together was their faith. And so it's true with your marriage too. With all the things that go on, all the incidents of life, the up times and the down times, the good and the bad, the joy and the sorrow. All of those things are threads that hold a marriage together. If they lived in faith, if they lived in patience, if they lived in love and understanding with one another. And marriage becomes what St. Paul says it is, a reflection of Christ's love for his church. A great call for all married couples. Think about it.